Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadhanam Saritam Sadhaitam Sadhanatam Paritanam Krishna Shri Radha Krishna Radha Saranam Harita Shri Vishakam Vinasa Namo Vishnu Padaya Shri Mate Swami Namaste Saraswati Mahamadanyaya Krishna 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 Chaitanya Namadev Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Radhe Radha Shri Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Mukam Karoti Vacham Pangam Yatpripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Devatam Parvanatam Shri Chaitanya न तथा हि अभवान् राजन् पूयेत तपकार्यते यथा कृष्णार्पितः प्राणान् तत्पुरुषा निषेवया My dear king, if a sinful person engages in the service of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and thus learns how to dedicate his life unto the lotus feet of Krishna, he can be completely purified. One cannot be purified merely by undergoing austerity, penance, brahmacharya, and the other methods of atonement I have previously discussed. That Purusha refers to a preacher of Krishna consciousness, such as spiritual master. Tilnar Thakur has said, Chadiya Vaishnav Seva, Nishtara Payachigya. Without serving, bona fide spiritual master, an ideal Vaishnava, who can be delivered from the clutches of mind. This idea is also expressed in many other places. Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.2 states, Mahatsevam Dwaram Ahurmukti. If one desires liberation from the clutches of Maya, one must associate with a pure devotee, Mahatma. A Mahatma is one who engages 24 hours daily in the loving service of the Lord. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9.13, Mahatmanam samam partha daivim prakritimashrita bhajati ananya manaso janatya bhutadimabhyaya. O son of Pita, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Thus, the symptom of a Mahatma is that he has no engagement other than service to Krishna. One must render service to a Vaishnava in order to get freed from sinful reaction, revive one's original Krishna consciousness, and be trained in how to love Krishna. This is the result of Mahatma Seva. Of course, if one engages in the service of a pure devotee, the reactions of one's sinful life are vanquished automatically. Devotional service is necessary not to drive away an insignificant stock of sins, but to awaken our dormant love for Krishna. As fog is vanquished at the first glimpse of sunlight, one's sinful reactions are automatically vanquished. As soon as one begins serving a pure devotee, no separate endeavor is required. The word Krishna Arpita Prana refers to a devotee who dedicates his life to serving Krishna, not to being saved from the path to hellish life. A devotee is Narayan Parayan or Vasudev Parayan, which means that the path of Vasudev or the devotional path is his life and soul, Narayana Parayan. Narayana Para Sarve Nakutasya Vidyati. The sixth canto, 17th chapter, text 28. Such a devotee is not afraid of going anywhere. There is a path toward liberation in the higher planetary systems and a path towards the hellish planets. But a Narayan Parayan devotee is unafraid wherever he is sent. He simply wants to remember Krishna wherever he may be. Such a devotee is unconcerned with hell and heaven. He is simply attached to rendering service to Krishna. When a devotee is put into hellish conditions, he accepts them as Krishna's mercy. Tattvanukamam susamichyamana. He does not protest, oh, I am such a great devotee of Krishna. Why have I been put into this misery? Instead, he thinks this is Krishna's mercy. Such an attitude is possible for a devotee who engages in the service of Krishna's representative. This is the secret of success. Srila Prabhupada explains here. Many references to this aspect that once one can only develop love for Krishna by serving a great devotee of the Lord. Prabhupada is quoting Mahatma Namaste Mahapartha, Daivik Prakriti Mashitaha. The one has to take shelter of a Mahatma. The Mahatma is a person who is 24 hours engaged in Krishna service. There are no other business other than Krishna. The Supreme Lord is not visible by our material sense. There is no way that from a conditioned mindset we can connect to the Supreme. Our hearts have not reached to that pure level that we can see and interface Krishna's presence. So therefore, Krishna's greatest installment mercy is that the Supreme Lord manifests in our life through his devotees. Just like we see a holy place, sometimes in a holy place, uh, we see many a times only few members of the family have gone, or only one member has gone. And what they do is that then, because the one person is there, then this, so what he does is through his mobile, he is showing darshan to all his family members. Many times we do that in a holy ground, you can see that. They're showing the darshan, they're showing everything to the whole family. So being a family member of one who is right there, one can get access to be able to interface and take darshan. The similar way, we cannot directly access the Supreme God. Only if we connect to a Mahatma, we become a family member of the Mahatma. That is what it means. That we connect to the Mahatma. Then through them, we can see, we can relate with Krishna. Through them, we can also please Krishna. Therefore, what is actually in service to Krishna, what is actually pleasing to Krishna, is not determined by uh, our own mental fantasies or ideas. But what is pleasing to Krishna and what is service to Krishna is asserted by the Mahatmas. And what we need to do is to adopt and accept. Then the efforts will go in a direction which will be pleasing to Krishna. Otherwise, the efforts will be dispensed, but no much reciprocation of Krishna will come. That is the point. Because if we present what is asked for, what is needed, it will be immediately utilized. And if we present something not asked for, and it won't be immediately utilized. That's simple as that. So what's there in Krishna's heart is reflected through the heart of the great devotee. And that is what is said, Tomar Hriday Sada Govinda Vishra. Govinda Kahe Namara Vaishnava Paran. So that is why you see, Srila Prabhupada would always have, after the first meeting with Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada had only one question to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur always. How can I serve? How can I serve? And only when Srila Prabhupada got the clarity, then we see that Srila Prabhupada was so much fixed into that. This is the principle which is being explained here. One of the interesting observations when Prabhupada is describing Vyasa as a Mahatma, how a Mahatma is 24 hours engaged in Krishna service, we can see that because the Mahatma is 24 hours engaged, it's only one business, that is to serve Krishna. Therefore, the vision of a Mahatma, there is no haziness. The vision of a Mahatma is crystal clear. Whereas one who is conditioned doesn't have a clear vision. That is why clarity is obtained by the instructions of the Swarup. Because the more one is dedicated, the more the vision is clear to them. They're not in confusion whether to do this or whether to do that, whether to sit down and chant or whether to focus on some material duties. There's no haziness in their mind. Why? Because the heart is completely in tune, in synchronization with the Lord's heart. As for conditioned candidates, there is always confusion. There is always a this way, that way. There is always a crossroad. And that is why these Mahatmas act as direction pointers. There is confusion. The Mahatmas can act as direction point. First canto Srimad Bhagavatam. We see Srila Vyasadeva was despondent. Srila Vyasadeva himself could understand that although he had compiled and assimilated the entirety of the knowledge of the Vedas with all its limbs and so on, still is not satisfied. Because somewhere or the other he has missed directly glorifying Supreme. So Vyasadeva could understand. He was able to apprehend that probably this is the case. But then he went to his spiritual master, Srila Narada Muni. And Srila Narada Muni gave the confirmation. As he said, yes, you have not glorified Krishna sufficiently. And therefore, you have not simply created a confusion in the lives of people. You are giving them some subsidiary principles which should keep them entangled in the material modes, and addiction to subsidiary principles keep them locked up. And we have not given them the real solution. That is the direct glorification of the Lord. So that made everything very crystal clear to Vyasadeva. Here Vyasadeva, Srila Vyasadeva is depicting by his own life episode, by his own pastime. That how he was such a great person, although he could understand himself what is right, what is wrong. But he got a full confirmation stamp and clarity when he went to Srila Narada Muni. That is the point. That full confirmation and clarity one can get simply by connecting to Mahatma. And therefore, we will see the more our life is close to the Mahatmas, the more there will be clarity in our lives. And the more our lives is separated from the Mahatma, Mahaseva, the more there will be confusion, the more there will be haziness. So, the confusion. Sometimes some devotees feel that my job and my profession, that is my service to Krishna. Now, is this a valid statement? Not a valid statement. My job, my profession, my service. Is job and profession service of Krishna? Is it a valid statement? Not a valid statement. Yes, that is okay. Uh, that is okay. Hmm. So some devotees feel the job a profession. That is always the question. But it's not a valid statement. It is not a valid statement. Bhakti means Shavanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Archanam Vandanam Padhanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. And material profession. Material profession can be spiritualized and purified, and thus it offers a stepping stone towards Krishna. But material profession is not all in all. So that has to be understood. So there is haziness. You see. There is this haziness. So if one can, uh, so if one can open a temple and preach and worship the deities, then what doesn't have to do any professional job. But one who is, caught up in that group, or one is, going through the Varnashrama staircase, and then slowly and step by step increasing the quality of spiritual life, then that means spiritualizing the job. But that means, uh, so yes, the results of the job, the money can be offered to Krishna. Yes, to the degree we offer, to that degree we get purified. But the Lord is saying you can offer yourself. That is the better offering. If not, if not, then you can offer money. If not, then you can offer some time, some words. The Lord explains that. So, so things are clear, but then concepts become very hazy. There are some devotees they think that if they can chant 16 rounds a day, then anything they do the rest of the time, that is spiritual. 16 rounds chanting can give them the license to do anything, and that's considered okay. Is it okay? It is not okay. It is not okay. So, so we see this is uh, it is not okay because what we do throughout the day is a preparation, and when one sits for chanting 116 rounds, the quality is determined by what one does throughout the day. So the chanting is the exam. So just appearing in the exam does not ensure spiritual world. No, one has to get the passing marks also. So therefore, what we do throughout the day has impact on what we write at the chanting time in the examination paper. And if you are writing all rubbish, material desires is rubbish. Uh, and the Harinam Prabhu will respond in fulfilling some of that rubbish, which means we'll get more entangled by chanting Hare Krishna. So that is what we ask the holy name for. That is why the quality of our lives throughout the day will decide what we are asking Harinam to. Whether we are asking for fulfillment of material desires or we are asking for Krishna Prema. We are asking for service to the spiritual master. So if we see there is a lot of haziness, this haziness can be cleared only in connection. And that is why it is very important to that is why it is very important to hear the Mahatmas. Because when we hear the fog is dispelled, I don't say, oh, I was thinking I'm all right. I'm not all right. I need to improve. That is why it is important to see the example of dedicated devotees, to walk with them, to walk behind them, try to catch up with them. But then we can understand, oh, this is the fervor, the directionality, and the gear which we need to take up. So and that is what will ensure our connection to Krishna. Otherwise, directly, there are so many candidates. They feel that uh, if you just assume that you are with Krishna, then you are with Krishna. What is the use of huh? uh, what is the use of any tapasya for that? You just assume that you are a lover of Krishna and you become a lover of Krishna. To see the craziness, we see this is the craziness. So sometimes people feel that let me just tag myself as a great lover of Krishna. So Krishna Bhakti is not so cheap. One will land up into a very deadly quicksand of imaginations if one is not aligned to the devotees of the Lord. And therefore, the serving of the Krishna's representatives is very important. Is the formula which is given here. None of the processes of atonement are going to work. All are temporary. See, all the processes of brahmacharya, tapasya, celibacy, and so on, which are mentioned, they are all temporary. They will only give temporary kicks. Uh, Vastav bhakti is permanent. There is another thing permanent also, which is what is the common algorithm in this world. The other permanent thing is the imagination. Because one lands up being intoxicated by imagination or illusion, then one can go on driving and one is actually degrading, but one is thinking is advancing. Mhm. Like Ramachandra Puri. He was thinking has become very great. He is able to differentiate between very subtle subject matters. And therefore he thought, I'll give advice to my guru. I think he is going off track. He's simply crying, you know. So, so then he started saying, my dear guru, you are simply doing Krishna Krishna, therefore you not got anything. And you are crying. Now you focus on the impersonal, then you will not cry, you will attain something substantial. Still time is there, try it out. I'm giving you free advice for your benefit and welfare. So you see the audacity of Ramachandra Puri. He was thinking that he has become more advanced than his own spiritual master, Madhavendra Puri. And Srila Madhavendra Puri understood and he just told him to get out. The same Ramachandra Puri went on later to find faults with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if we see that this game of imagination is a very dangerous game, intoxication and imagination. The person may think that one is driving ahead, but one may be actually degrading. disillusion. That is why we need to ensure at every step that whether we are going in the right direction or not. And that is only possible when we are constantly connected with the Mahatma. That every time we can get a check and balance. And we can get a surety and confirmation. Yes, now I'm going the right direction. Now I need to change. I have deviated a bit. I need to improve it. And so on. Let's read further. Yeah, so we break the shell of false ego in preaching by humble behavior and genuine humility and genuine service attitude. So when people see and we present in a very humble way, and that may attract their hearts and create inspiration. So and genuine service attitude. So that's how that will only rupture their false ego like that. And in addition, they see that we are totally following that. So the sincere example with earnest humility and service attitude. That's the way we can rupture. I mean, that is the only way by which the ego shell can be ruptured, and people can come to the point of accepting and hearing. So, and we continue doing that. Like with the Srila Prabhupada disciples were quoting Srila Prabhupada saying that you may leave me, but I will never leave you. Prabhupada said that. So that's the point. Till when we'll keep trying? We'll keep trying till eternity, till there is. That's the point. Yes. So that is why connection to Mahatma is through service. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Vimukti. So we have to understand a disciple is eternally a disciple. And we have to understand that my connection to Krishna is through the devotees. Through the devotees only I can understand what is Krishna. I have no adhikar or no capacity to directly understand Krishna. So he overwhelmed this principle. Trying to, so any understanding which is outside of the Guru, in the first place only it has no meaning. We develop understanding based on what we hear, based on uh, what we hear. Not that we develop our own algorithm. That is the point. So whenever so this proves that it is a science. As long as he was in connection, he was advancing. The moment he got disconnected, he very fell. So that is why one should be always connected. And that is why Prahlad Maharaj is praying. That, oh Lord, if you want to give me benediction eternally, give me service to my spiritual master. That's all I want. I want to be an eternal servant of my spiritual master. स्वात्मसात् सुरक्षे तानयम् सोहम कथम न विसृजे तव कृते. So please give me eternal service to my. That is what we ask. So this principle is important. And that's why spiritual master or Mahatma is not a staircase. You just cross over and then throw it off. No, that is Mayavad understanding. That is exactly what is Mayavad. So we don't see uh, the spiritual master as a staircase. I can climb up and I can kick off. No, a spiritual master is the connection point. From where or through him we connect to Krishna eternally. That is the point. That's what we have to understand. Okay. So Prabhu is asking if we if we see some faults in our guru, uh, or many times we see some faults in our guru because our vision is not very proper. So we see some faults in senior devotees because our vision is not very proper, because we see everything from our own framework. So in such cases, we should go to some senior devotee and ask for a better understanding of the scenario, so that we can understand what it means, like that. Because we don't have a full-on idea at all. We don't have a full-on idea, and we are only seeing things superficially. So the notions and conceptions cannot be are prone to be erroneous. So that is why when the Gadadhar Pandit was apparently seeing some fall in Puttari Vidyanidhi as in leading a very lavish lifestyle, which is against which is against the principle of dharma. He was seeing very superficially. So to solve his doubt, who was there again? Well, hmm, Mukunda Dutt. So to solve his doubt, Mukunda or Murari Gupta. Okay, so Mukunda or Murari Gupta. So so what he did is he recited a verse of Bhagavatam, 10th canto. And as soon as that verse was recited, Punavit Vidyadhani came in the mood of separation and he started crying. Like tears are falling from his eyes and he was reciting that verse and chanting Krishna's names. And he became completely oblivious to the situation. He fell from his seat. Uh, uh, he was so in his separation. I think so. Even his clothes got torn or something. Uh, so then Gadadhar Pandit could understand. Oh, he's a very absorbed devotee of the Lord. That absorption was not visible superficially, but little bits scratch and it was visible like that. So many things cannot be visible to us like that. So we really don't know. Like sometimes I was very young, I would see that sometimes senior devotees, Maharajas, in chanting time they would go into their room. And I was curious. And, and what they do later I found out because they finished their rounds before Mangalarti. They have gone to worship their deities or something like that. You know? So, so many of them, not just 16, sometimes they finish 32 rounds before Mangalarti. So we really don't know. So therefore, better to if some vision is creating problem, then we can ask some seniors. I saw this. Uh, uh, how to understand this properly from devotees who know, and that is why we can only know from devotees who know. That is the point. Like say for example in LA, Prabhupada 1968 in LA, Prabhupada would only go Sundays. Other days he was not going. What does that mean? Does that mean Prabhupada was sleeping in his apartment? Yeah. Does that mean Prabhupada was sleeping? No. Prabhupada was doing a double shift. He was translating Krishna book and uh, NOD at the same time. From 1 o'clock to morning program time, Krishna book, and in the afternoon I was translating like that. So, so now one may say that just because Prabhupada is not coming to the temple hall, that doesn't mean Prabhupada is sleeping. Prabhupada is working more harder than the devotees, like that. So therefore, actually, our vision is many times superficial, and therefore we may, when we try to evaluate ourselves, we may create faults, or we may see with a faulty vision. If this happens, then we should consult some seniors to understand the in-depth picture. Even if one is very bad, no, yeah, like 70. Tatriceno hi ayam loke, pantashe kutumbaya, sushila sagavo yatra, narayana parayana. The path followed by pure devotees who are well behaved and fully endowed with the best qualifications is certainly the most auspicious path in this material world. It is free from fear and it is authorized by the Shastra. So, in this hopeless material world, the example of the great devotees is the only hope. Because when we see that example, we can get hope. Yes, it is possible. Otherwise, by our own constructs, it is going to be a hopeless affair. Material life is anyways hopeless, and the attempt to practice spiritual life on the material ground will also appear to be hopeless. So hope comes by the great souls, so they well behaved, they're fully endowed with the best qualifications. So their path is most auspicious. Therefore, one can follow that path, no problem. Suppose say imitation of a good thing is good, no problem. But one should not think that the person who takes to bhakti is one who cannot perform the ritualistic ceremonies recommended in the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, or is not sufficiently educated to speculate on spiritual subjects. Mayavadi is generally Alish. that the bhakti path is for women and illiterates. This is a groundless accusation. The bhakti path is followed by the most learned scholars, such as the Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Ramanujacharya. These are the actual followers of the bhakti path. Regardless of whether or not one is educated or aristocratic, one must follow in their footsteps. Mahajano yena gata sapantha. One must follow the path of the Mahajanas. The Mahajanas are those who have taken shelter, who have taken to the path of devotional service. Sushila sadhavo yatra narayana parayana. For these great personalities are perfect persons, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 5, 18, 12. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati akinchana sarve gunes samasati suras. One who has unflinching devotion to the personality of Godhead has all the good qualities of the demigods. The less intelligent, however, misunderstand the bhakti path and therefore allege that it is for one who cannot execute the ritualistic ceremonies or speculate. As confirmed here by the word Sadrichina, bhakti is the path that is appropriate, not the path of karma kanda and jnana kanda. Mayavadis may be Sushila Sadhava, well behaved, saintly persons. But there is nevertheless some doubt about whether they are actually making progress, for they have not accepted the path of bhakti. On the other hand, those who follow the path of the acharyas are Sushila and Sadhava, but furthermore, their path is Akuto Bhaya, which means free from fear. One should fearlessly follow the 12 Mahajanas and their line of disciplic succession, and thus be liberated from the clutches of Maya. So you see, the here the two things are mentioned. One is the speculation. The second is the karma kanda, ritualistic ceremonies. The speculation and the ritualistic ceremonies. So some people think that if I'm doing certain activities which are if I'm doing some people think that if I'm doing certain activities, if I'm doing certain activities, ritualistic activities, then I can think anything. And if I'm doing these ritualistic activities for some time, then other time I can do anything. That's what they feel. And so some people feel like that. So their thinking was that okay, if I'm doing a little bit of ritualistic activities, so they're saying okay, temple, what is that? They ring a bell. Okay, I'll also ring the bell. Turn, 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 turn. You know, and it's okay, temple they offer agarbatti. So why only agarbatti? Because they don't stay till the end of the deity worship also. So they only see the agarbatti, you know. They feel I'll also do agarbatti and I'll also do ting 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 ting, you know, like that. So they feel that if this is done, then everything is done. Feel like that. Huh? So So they feel that okay, if I can act in this way, which seems to be spiritual, then I can think anything. And there are others who are the opposite. They feel that if I can think for some time about some god, some godly topic, then I can act in any way I like, and that is justified. But they feel that okay, if I can talk about God and have a 2 hour discussion, okay, whether God is light or God is not light and all that. No. After that, I can go and drink 2 pegs, no problem. Because I have already done it, whatever bhakti or whatever that yoga and all that. No, they feel like that. So you see this speculation and karma kanda. These are very disjoint, isolated domains. Is it? Bhakti is an integrated process. Our action has a purpose to please Krishna. Our action is there to, to intensify our thought of Krishna. And we think about Krishna to act in a way to actually please Him. So it is not disjoint. But many times the outside people, they all these jnana kandis, karma kandis, bhandis, all of them, they are very lopsided. They have very lopsided understanding because so bhakti is not lopsided. Haribol, Haribol, huh? Khel. Who? Okay. So you see, bhakti is a well integrated process, and therefore uh, the bhakti is not a path for sentimentalists, or the bhakti is not a bhav path, not a blind path. Rather, the isolated versions are all blind because there is no integration and no coherence. And because there is no coherence, sometimes something, sometimes something, and they are not able to maintain the continuity. But a bhakta can maintain the continuity. So sentiment is associated with the spike. But a bhakta's life, there is no spike. It's not that one day out of the 365 days, the bhakta will get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock. The bhakta will get up every day. There is no spike. So it is sustained sentiment, sustained by knowledge, sustained by determined activities, which are actually pleasing to Krishna. Otherwise, how the determination is coming from? It is not coming from isolation. But all these other candidates, where everything is topsy-turvy. So that is the point. So So therefore, the Mahajano Yena Gagasa Pantha. So that is why Prabhupada said religion and philosophy both are needed. So Prabhupada said Pancharatrika Vidhi, Bhagavad Vidhi, both are needed. Prabhupada didn't say only one thing. Prabhupada said both are needed. Why? If you only do Pancharatrika, one will become ritualistic. And Prabhupada said if you only do Pancharatrika, you will feel it as a burden on the neck after some time. But you do Bhagavad Vidhi along with Pancharatrika, there is purification. There is development of love. So that is why the Mahajanas, we have to follow the Mahajanas, the great personality. So sometimes when people are saying, oh, what are these bhaktas? They're just chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So what are the bhaktas doing? They're just chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yes, they're just doing the right thing. When you're given an examination paper, you're just supposed to write the right answer. That's all. One may say just the right answer. Why not so many other things? When you can do that, why only write? Why not make some drawings? You can make Nasima drawing. You can do anything you like. But just the right answer is just sufficient. This is not. But these other people, what they think is that they think I am too smart. That just the right answer I can write anytime. Let me do other things now. So then they're writing a poem, they're writing some philosophy, they make some drawings, and then time is up. And the answers they're never able to write. But time is up. Punarapi janana, punarapi marana. So like that. So therefore, when they say that just chant Hare Krishna, uh, that just is just the right thing. It is needed. Let's read further. So now text 18. Prayashchittani shirnani narayana paranmukham na nishpunanti rajendra surakumbam ivapagaha. My dear king, as a pot containing liquor cannot be purified, even if washed in the waters of many rivers, non-devotees cannot be purified by the processes of atonement, even if they perform them very well. As atonement is spiritual, it's superficial. Atonement is superficial, so it cannot be. Atonement is like a physical change. It can be undone very quick, but bhakti is like chemical change, cannot be undone. The whole nature only changes. Many times, see these processes of atonement, they are like these processes of atonement. They are like somebody wearing cosmetics. Like somebody wears cosmetics or a good dress, and they look nice. But how long? How long? Sometimes in boys they do some hairstyle, na? They do some sort of wavy shaving. I mean, the shaving, that wavy hairstyle. They do hairstyle. They look very nice. For how long? How many days it goes on? You know, I mean, we are good pressed iron clothes. How long? Yeah. You know, it's just a matter of few hours. That's all. Is it not? So one sees after few hours, it is all disheveled. It is all as good as nothing. Is it not? So these processes of atonement are like that. They're just like wearing a fine dress, doing some hairstyle, doing some cosmetics and all that. They're external. So bhakti is internal change. No, the internal reflects in the external. See, when the person is disturbed, even a beautiful face looks very disturbed. Hmm. Is it that? When the person is very happy and satisfied, even an ugly face will look beautiful. Is it that? So the internal reflects in the external. The bhakti is makes change of the internal. So therefore, this process of atonement are not going to work out. Sometimes people feel, okay, I can do tapasya. These 7 days I will not eat anything. After that, everything. So, so the nothing is for licensing everything. So therefore, those kind of austerities, penances, and so on, are actually fluffing one's are actually enhancing one's attachment to the sense object. That's all, nothing else. But to take advantage of the methods of atonement, one must be at least somewhat devoted. Otherwise, there is no chance of one getting purified. It is clear from this verse that even those who take advantage of karma kand and jnana kand, but are not at least slightly devoted, cannot be purified simply by following these other paths. The word prayaschittani is plural in number to indicate that both karma kand and jnana kand. Narottam Das Thakur therefore says karma kanda jnana kanda kevala vishera bhanda. Thus, Narottam Das Thakur compares the path of karma kand and jnana kand to pots of poison. Liquor and poison are in the same category. According to this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, a person who has heard a good deal about the path of devotional service, but who is not attached to it, who is not Krishna conscious. Yeah, so a person has heard a good deal about the path of devotional service, but who is not attached to it, who is not Krishna conscious, is like a pot of liquor. Such a person cannot be purified without at least a slight touch of devotional service. So many times people hear and hear and hear, but do not steer. And then they conclude a devotional service not working. I'm at the same place still. We're switching on the engine or putting fuel in the engine is not sufficient. One has to drive. One has to drive. Uh, Otherwise, the engine is on, the fuel is being consumed. I mean, it is getting evaporated, but not going anywhere. No, but not going anywhere. That is the point. So this is so here Prabhupada is mentioning about the people what they do. They hear 2 lectures, 3 lectures a day also, but they don't do any practical service. So they are so busy. They don't do any practical service. So sometimes we have seen some devotees. They will hear one lecture 2 hours, and they will speak that lecture next 4 hours to 10 people, and that's all they do. You know? So that is why we see that the good path. Many people know that bhakti is a good path. Many people know. Therefore, when you're practicing bhakti and you're out in the world, many people pat on the back. "Ah, you're doing a good thing. Very nice, very nice." I may say that is very nice, but what about you? Where is your practice? No, no, no. You continue. You're very nice. You continue. No, your Krishna thing. We continue our nonsense. That is what it means. No? Like one brahmachari, he was recently telling me, Prabhu, after so many years now, first I met all my relatives somehow. And they were also appreciative of me. I could never imagine that they are so much appreciative of me now. I was thinking that they'll be all fighting and arguing and shooting at me, but they're all appreciative of it. I'm shocked. I said nothing to get shocked because they said, "Oh, you're doing very nice thing." I said, "Yeah, they're saying because you're not there, son. They're saying you're doing very nice because they're not there, son. And as long as you don't push or pull their son, and they're okay. Keep doing. If you can sadhu, no problem. Keep doing. You know, so like that. So you see the point that many times people they simply keep it as a theoretical game. They don't apply and follow. They don't apply and follow. Things are not hazy. Bhagavad Gita makes things, even Bhagavad Gita makes things very clear. What to say of Bhagavatam? What to say of Bhagavatam? Even Bhagavad Gita makes things so much clear. But why people are at the same pace still? Because they're not following. Without following, there is no purification. Yeah, yeah. So sometimes what happens is that people, what they do is that they sit in the temple premises only, and any devotee comes, they catch them. And they say, "No, I'm preaching." No, but actually, this is not preaching. That eating hours and hours of time and catching devotees, making them sit for hours and hours and all that. No, that's not preaching. One should go out in the world because when one goes out in the world and people present different scenarios, then one has to really apply, what one has learned. Okay, how should I present that these people can understand? And they will ask this angle, that angle questions. Then one has to go back and one has to go back and go very deep and go back and take shelter of seniors. So therefore, we see when we apply, we'll go deeper. If we don't apply, the Krishna consciousness is not a blind process. Krishna consciousness is a heartful application. See, What we receive, we're supposed to apply it in our hearts. And then what experiences we get, that we are supposed to share. But sometimes devotees, what they do, they get it as it is and they pass it on as it is. जैसे देखो ऐसा 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 है, ठीक है? And somebody says question, it's a question, no? No questions, no? So why is it not? So the point is, just hear as it is and pass it on as it is. But bhakti is not the as it is, pass it on process. Bhakti is hear as it is, follow as it is, and what you experience, that you share. That is the process of, so that is a sincere practice. Yeah, because it is not the words, it is the potency with which the words are spoken is what makes a difference. So therefore, practice comes there. So if we just hear as it is and memorize and just repeat as it is, if people ask questions, we will not be able to answer because we have not realized what it means. Is it not? So the as it is means practice as it is, and then sharing will be as it is. Like that. So one cannot bypass the stage of practice. So bhakti is not memorization and repeat. Bhakti is practice, experience, share. And that is why we see that is why the so one who does not have a conviction will not be able to share. Because as soon as you share, some people ask questions and say, yeah, I also had a doubt, but what can be done? It's there in the scriptures. Let's read further. So, and anybody is going to apply? They're not applying, is it not? So practice is the main thing. Uh, so people can sense, no? People will be able to sense what is the depth of practice of this person. So therefore, people will be able to sense how externally one is speaking and how much deep one is speaking, how much absorbed one is. That is the difference. So hearing is there to practice, and practice is there to create a, a bigger patrata for hearing. So we gain energy to share, and we share to increase the capacity of what we can gain. Interesting, huh? Okay, text 19. सकृन्मनः कृष्णपादारविन्दयोः निवेशितं तद्गुणरागियैरिह न तेयमं पाशभृतश्च तद्भताम् स्वप्नेऽपि पश्यन्ति हि चेर्न निष्कृतः Although not having fully realized Krishna, persons who have even once surrendered completely unto his lotus feet and who have become attracted to his name, form, qualities, and pastimes are completely freed of all sinful reactions. for they have accepted the true method of atonement. Even in dreams, such surrendered souls do not see Yamaraj or a sort of carriers who are equipped with ropes to bind the soul. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 1866, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayashyami ma shukah. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all the sinful reactions. Do not fear. The same principle is described here. Sakrin manah Krishna pada arvindayor. If by studying Bhagavad Gita one decides to surrender to Krishna, he is immediately freed from all sinful reactions. It is also significant that Sukadeva Goswami, having several times repeated the word Vasudev Parayana and Narayana Parayana, finally says Krishna pada arvindayor. Thus indicate that Krishna is the origin of both Narayan and Vasudev. Even though Narayan and Vasudev are not different from Krishna, simply by surrendering to Krishna, one fully surrenders to all his expansions such as Narayana, Vasudeva, and Govinda. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7.7, Matta Parataram Nanyat, there is no truth superior to me. There are many names and forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Krishna is the supreme form because Krishna is true Bhagavan Swayam. Therefore, Krishna recommends to the neophyte devotees that one should surrender unto him only, Mamikam. Because neophyte devotees cannot understand what the forms of Narayan, Vasudeva, and Govinda are, Krishna directly says Mamekam. Herein, this is also supported by the word Krishna Pada Vindayor. Narayana does not speak personally, but Krishna or Vasudeva does. As in Bhagavad Gita, for example. Therefore, to follow the direction of Bhagavad Gita means to surrender into Krishna. And to surrender in this way is the highest perfection of Bhakti Yoga. Parikshit Maharaj had inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, how can one be saved from falling into the various conditions of hellish life? In this verse, Sukadeva Goswami answers that a soul who has surrendered to Krishna certainly cannot go to Naraka, hellish existence. To say nothing of going there, even in his dreams, he does not see Yamaraj, the resort of carriers, who were able to take one there. In other words, if one wants to save himself from falling into Naraka or hellish life, he should finally surrender to Krishna. The word Sakrit is significant because it indicates that if one sincerely surrenders to Krishna once, he is saved, even if by chance he falls down by committing sinful activities. Therefore, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:30, Abhichet Sudurachar Jante Mam Ananibha Sadhureva Samantapya Samyak Vyavasitum Saha. Even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. If one never for a moment forgets Krishna, he is safe, even if by chance he falls down by committing sinful acts. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita 240, the Lord also says, Deha Vikramana Shusti Partivayo na vidyate Swarpamapi asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Elsewhere in the Gita, the Lord says, Nahi kalyana krityasya durgatim tat gacchati 640. One who performs auspicious activity is never overcome by evil. The highest kalyana, auspicious activity is to surrender to Krishna. That is the only path by which to save oneself from falling down into hellish life. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati has confirmed this as follows. Kaivalyam narakayate tridashapura akasha pushpayate Durgandindriyakala sarpapatale protkhadadam shayate Vishwam purta sukhayate vidimahendra Sakekayate yatkarunya kataksha vaibhavatam Tam gauram evastumaha. The sinful actions of one who has surrendered unto Krishna are compared to a snake with its poison fangs removed. Protkhad damshtrayat. Such a snake is no longer to be feared. Of course, one should not commit sinful activities on the strength of having surrendered to Krishna. However, even if one who has surrendered to Krishna happens to do something sinful because of his former habits, and such sinful activities no longer have a destructive effect, Yeah. Therefore, one should adhere to the lotus feet of Krishna very tightly and serve him under the direction of the spiritual master. Thus, in all conditions, one will be akutubhaya, which means free from fear. Hari Bol. Let's stop here for the day. Good fashion. Bhagavatam ki, Prabhupada ki, Hari Bol.